The lady who's now there. Right, you can't, yeah, right, you can't take so much.
Okay. Katie, say happy retirement to Nanny. Say happy retirement, Nanny. Good girl.
I can never be on the floor. Yeah, I got like a half dozen really good shots. It didn't win my game for me. I got it. Then you have to lunge nonchalant. I got what last night. Really what?
I can't read this. Hold on. Everybody wave hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Let me just get through.
Myron Carroll.
Hi, baby.
Say hi.
Congratulations, Mom.
Congratulations.
Hi, how are you?
You want to say anything else? That's it?
This one I can't say she has the...
Yeah,
Oh, there she is. Oh, she looks like...
No.
Well, that's yours.
I know.
She just holds the baby.
Oh, okay, good. Marcia, just hold it on me a second. Just hold this on me a second. What do you want me to do? Hold it on me, I want to say something.
I don't know how to do it.
Just hold it on me.
It's on?
Stay the wrong way.
Looking where?
Get in your neck. And you're wasting time. Oh.
Congratulations, Mom.
It's Katie. No, I like it now. Let me do it. Okay, but I'm going to fade out. Okay, I'm going to wait now.
I have 18 pictures on the other one. I don't understand. It worked the first time.
I'm videoing that. Yes, Katie. Where's that photographer? There he is. Photographer!
Hi there. How are you? I'll take a picture.
Take a picture of me. Take a picture of you.
Take a picture. Where's your sitting? You over here? We, of course, gathered together to honor someone very dear to us all, Florence Cantor, who's, of course, sitting over here. And we have, first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming. Some of you have come quite a distance as well. And also would like to give a special note of thanks to Myra Berman, who's the mastermind behind this event and is assisted very, very generously by, of course, Carol Sapienza, who occupies Florence's old chair. First of all, I thought we should maybe have, I know a few of you would like to say a few words about Florence and what she has meant to you. I'd like to begin that process by saying that I regard it as a pleasure and a privilege to have been part of the team in the Dean's office that helps this institution move along, at least in one of its divisions, which is the largest division, by the way, of the college, and more work and more paperwork than other divisions. And ever since I first became dean, which I think was 1974, I think it was 1973. 75.
90.
I mean 80, no, 90. I'm only off by 20 years. It's like budgets, the numbers keep going down. 90, was it 93 or 95? 95. Yeah, 93. Anyway, it's been a
like forever.
constant flow of time. And during that time, Myra has made Florence has made me look better than I am. There are a couple of qualities that I have deeply appreciated about Florence, in particular. One is that this is an extremely intelligent woman, and one who always had interesting things to say about many things. She is a woman who reads. I would get a book about something or other, and I said, you know, you might find this interesting. And before I know it, before I had read the book, she had read the book. She's a woman who reads poetry. And some of you, I think, were present when, at one of the evening readings a few years ago, when the great Russian poet Joseph Brodsky was reading, Nobel laureate no less, and a former member of our faculty from many years ago, came in to the auditorium, and I think even without knowing that Florence was in the audience, immediately started to speak about Florence with great affection, and that indicated that Florence had meant something very, very important to him, that she was one of the most important parts of his Queens College experience. So I think we were all thrilled at that. Now, of course, there are other times, too. You know, we were thinking about in the office of a few other occasions. There was the time, for example, well, you should understand that my predecessor, Jack Riley, who was here, had a small cache of liquid refreshment, I guess, for visiting dignitaries that was in the cabinet in the back of the desk. And one day I came in, and there was Florence on the floor with the door open by this. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but we all had a good laugh. Of course, she was only, there were also files in the vicinity, and she was rearranging the files. But the picture was too good to be true. It's one that we all remember. But in any event, it should be clear that I truly miss her wonderful contribution to our operation, and she has been in touch with Carol, who has so ably stepped into that place, and but we still feel very much a family. I have, in a sense, two personal gifts for Florence, neither of which, in a sense, is concrete. We'll give you something a little bit more concrete later. But the first is something also that it's been part of our life up there, and that is that when one works so closely, one shares family histories together and such things. And of course, things like grandchildren are very important. And so we've been through, marriages and births and grandchildren. So the first thing that I want to give Florence, but I want it back because the grandmother insists on getting it back, are some new, fresh baby pictures. I say that because our first grandchild, Rachel, visited the office a couple years ago, when she was just an infant, and was absolutely adopted by Florence and Myra. And even though this family lives in North Carolina, there is a kind of bond between them that is really remarkable. And says something about the quality of the people we have up there. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I think now I'd like to turn the microphone over to some other friends and admirers of Florence. And let me begin with my predecessor, who I also admire so much, and who has taken the trouble to come here, and that, of course, is Jack Riley.
I don't remember it at all. Maybe I'm having a senior moment, I'm not sure. And then, I don't even know where it was, as a matter of fact.
Maybe it's all over that.
In any event, I'm just happy to be here today to celebrate with Florence her retirement, because she and I go way back, not just the years, it was only 2 years, I think, that I was there when you were working with me. But we go back to, and some of you may remember this in the long distance path, there used to be a Department of Romance Languages. I'm not sure what it is. We go back to that. And when Florence came to work there, we knew immediately we had a really good addition to the department. And she was not only a wonderful worker, but she was also a good friend and colleague and so forth. And she would give you good advice. I remember once when I was dean, I was complaining about my cleaning lady because I paid her $35 and she ironed my shirts, and she didn't clean spots on the kitchen floor. So Florence said to me one day, listen, for $35 you get your shirts ironed, you clean the spot on the kitchen floor. But it's been a really nice experience being with her in the dean's office. I remember when she first applied for the dean's position. Of course, since I had had such a good working experience with her, I was hoping that she was going to be chosen. I knew Maxine Rothenberg wanted to have a say in this too, so I thought, I hope we're not on a collision course here, because I do want to have Florence, but she agreed with me. She wanted Florence as well too. Now, the one thing, however, that's going to be a problem, now that I'm no longer here at Queens, sometimes for my work at 80th Street, I come back in the summer and park my car in Forest Hills. And I have to move it on certain days between 9:30 and 11. And I think when I do that, where will I go? What will I do? I'll go to Queens College. I'll go up to see Florence and talk with her and get the information that's going on. Now you've left me high and dry. However, Myra's there, and of course I used to make forays every now and then into the English department and speak with the people there, or the art department. So Rosemary Callahan, I'm in touch with her a lot over the phone these days. But I think maybe it's a good thing that Florence is leaving, because she just got on to me recently. She and a group of people from Queens came to 80th Street in order to file their retirement papers. And while she was there, she thought, well, let's look Jack up because he's here. So they called down to the floor where I was, and the person down there said, no, never heard of him. Yeah. So I think I'm leading this double life. I really am there, Florence. What happened was the normal person who handles the telephone was out that day. And in best CUNY fashion, the person who replaced her wouldn't look at the directory of people who were there, just said, no, never heard. Well, I am there, and I've been very happy to have been connected with Florence over these years, and I hope she enjoys her retirement, and I'm sure she will.
These days it's about the same thing. At Baruch College. This is Bob Picken, of course. So welcome back, Bob.
All my old friends and pay tribute to Florence. Whatever it is I may know about administration, I owe to Florence, and so I want to pay tribute to her as a teacher. When I became chair of the department, the late remembered Department of Romance Languages, I think it was in 1982, I didn't know a whole lot. But Florence was my guide. I can remember many sessions when we were composing a letter, and I would dictate something, and she would say, are you sure you want to say that? Or there were other occasions when she would say, well, Professor X came to see you, but I don't think you want to see him, so I told him you're around. Or another occasion, she said, the provost called, but I wouldn't call him back for a day or two. With Florence's help, I managed to get through 8 long years as chair of the Department of Romance Languages. And as I said to a colleague at the lunch today, it's the most challenging administrative job I've ever held. I only managed to accomplish it because of Florence. The other thing I'd like to mention is Florence's loyalty to Queens College. When I left Queens to go to 80th Street, I tried to seduce Florence. I also dangled the blindage of some Baruch in front of her eyes, but no, she's perfectly loyal to Queens College, and Queens College has had a treasure in Florence, and I'm sure everyone here will miss her very, very much. Thank you.
Checking our letters. She has saved me from, as I said, she made me look better than I am. So another chair who might like to say a few words. Well, Seymour, you want to start? And then Andres Franco as well.
Well, that Florence came to our department when I was the chairman. And also Florence helped arrange my retirement party twice when I retired myself immediately. There was a retirement party and I withdrew. And also Florence, remember the time when I'd have to ask her to come into the office about every few weeks to clear my desk. I couldn't find anything. Remember my desk piled up and you cleared? Would you come to my house?
I know, Nanny. Would you come to my house? Oh, okay.
I am buried in paperwork and doing the best I can. Florence, what can I say? You helped me when I was chairman, you helped me when I retired, and I can't express my gratitude enough. I agree with everything that's been said before. That's why the last speaker is the easiest job. I agree with everything that was said. Thank you.
Very fortunate when I became chair of the now no longer existing Department of Romance Languages. I was fortunate because I succeeded Bob Pickin, who made himself very available to me. I was also fortunate because Jack Riley, an ex-chair of Romance Languages, was dean, and I used to bother him with calls several times a day, and he would always very patiently resolve my problems. But I was especially fortunate because Florence was the secretary of the department, and without her, I think my initial experience as a chair would have been a catastrophe. So I want to now tell Florence that I'm very, very grateful for all the help you showed toward me, both in the department and also up at the dean's office. And since we're all here and we've had a very pleasant afternoon, I would like to say that I really never forgave Jack for taking Florence away from us. Okay, and I wish you a very, very happy retirement, both of you.
Vladimir Lunas, and I asked him if he could say a few words.
I have thought of Florence as a friend for 25 years, believe it or not. Back in 1974, and I'm not off by 20 years, when I was fresh off the plane coming from Moscow and walked into the Department of Slavic Languages, of all things, I found that place to be a home. And it was terribly important for me at that time because I left Moscow with a gaping hole in my heart, leaving friends, leaving family. Florence made the department my home. I knew that if I fell sick and needed chicken soup, Florence would make it for me. Never ever did I find another place like this one. I'm grateful to you, Florence, from the bottom of my heart. And I'm sure if Joseph Brodsky were with us, he would have expressed a similar feeling toward you. But I'm sure he will find a way to manifest himself, just as Fyodor Dostoevsky manifested himself to you in his dream, in your dream. thank you very, very much for being a part of my life. And I wish you not a happy retirement, but a new life that's going to be interesting and happy. Thank you.
Now, there may be some other people who would like to say a few words. Yes, John?
Is written, this very modest term, secretary, is going to be put in its proper context. I refer you to the Secretary General of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. I refer you to the Secretary General of the United Nations, and I refer you to the secretaries of departments at Queens College. These are the people who make things work. These are the people who keep the globe roaring. If you'll let me play on the chords of your memory for a moment, I'd like to take you back to the presidency of Joseph McMurray and the deanship of Jules Brody